a prosperous life. And I was told that they, like all over the place, they do a series on this book. So I started reading it. And I decided it's like one of the most amazing books I have ever read. Okay? Dennis Merritt Jones. And after service today, if you want to come look at it, you can. Take a picture of it. And so my talk today, it is on abundance. It's on abundance. When I say I'm going to talk about, like when you hear a minister say, we're going to talk about abundance today, right? Everybody's kind of quiet. But you know, abundance, it's actually really important to us on our spiritual path, and I will explain why, so that you will be glad that I spoke on this. Our relationship with abundance reflects our relationship with our own divine nature. That's what abundance is a reflection of, a relationship with our own divine nature. However, so many of us are overcoming some pretty heavy-duty negative programming around the idea of what we think abundance is. Like, I love this one. We may have been taught that money is the root of all evil. All evil. Or, if you're going to be wealthy, you have to sell your soul or sell drugs. That's what my grandma used to say. Oh, he sold his soul, or he's selling drugs. She really said that. Oh, and this is one in particular that I've had to live through. Money is not spiritual. Now, when I became a holistic healer, and my husband paid thousands of dollars for my education. And when I would do healing work or teach classes on healing, I would actually have people say, well, you know, you should be giving this stuff away because it's spiritual. And I'm like, well, you know what? I'd like to contribute to the well-being of my family. I had to convince my husband that this would be a good thing already, so. You know, that's actually a lack consciousness. That is actually a lack consciousness. We also, some of us may be dealing with the idea that there's not enough goods. Not enough. You know, I didn't really realize how this is still something I work with until I go on Amazon, and maybe I'm going to look at a book, right? And I got this book off Amazon. And it might say, you know, yeah, order your book now. But every now and then you'll look at a book and it'll say, there's only one left. And when I see that, there's only one left, I'm like, oh my gosh, if I don't order it now, somebody's going to get my book. Right? That's lack consciousness. You see, abundance comes from within us. Okay, our source of abundance comes from within us first. And I know that can sound weird because when you think about the things you need in your life, it's all out there, right? The money that we're going to make to support our household is out there. And the things that we want to put in our house, they're out there. But I will explain this, okay? I will explain this. So first I will define abundance. According to Dennis Merritt Jones, he says that abundance is an overflowing fullness. Overflowing fullness. Abundance is more than enough. More than enough. So it's not money. Okay, money is an expression. It's one of the expressions of abundance, but abundance is a consciousness that we embody that allows wholeness, freedom, inner peace. Okay, abundance is a consciousness that we are living in. We are living abundance when we feel a sense of purpose in our life. When we feel that we are part of something bigger than us. When we feel that aliveness in everything we do on a daily basis. That is living in the consciousness of abundance. Okay, the divine ideas, divine inspiration, divine direction, and the synchronicities that happen in our life, they are being in the consciousness of abundance, so we know what to do next to get something out here that we may need. Okay, but abundance is the consciousness that allows us to know what's the next thing that we do. Right? That's abundance consciousness. So there's a big difference between, well, how can I be inspired to earn like an extra whatever this month to do an extra thing I want to do. That's the difference between, well, I really want to do this extra thing, but man, I'd have to see if I could get extra hours at work, and I don't know, maybe I could get a credit card. Like, that's not abundance thinking, okay? Not abundance thinking. See, I know people who are wealthy. I know a millionaire that lives in this area, and he is the poorest millionaire I know. Because his consciousness is a lack consciousness, and he's worried. He worries about his money. He worries about the people who might need his money or want his money. Okay, so he's in lack consciousness, even though he's a millionaire too. Okay, so there's a big difference. Abundance consciousness is directly related to our heart. To our heart. Because our heart is what seeks the direct experience with life. Okay, our heart, being in joy and living from that, we can tell a big difference. When we live from our heart, it feels a lot different than when we're living from fear, right? You felt that. So when we live from our heart, that's where we experience the freedom, the inner peace, the wholeness, the satisfaction. That's abundance. Okay, living from our heart is what allows us to get the consciousness for abundance. Okay, so in this book, he says this about the heart. Because the heart is intuitive, it knows only the spontaneous, expansive joy, wholeness, and freedom that comes with the awareness that abundance is already yours by virtue of the fact that you have been given the gift of life. And inherent within that gift is an abundance of whatever is needed to sustain you, to prosper you in every way. You don't have to earn abundance. You have to learn how to accept abundance. Which is why keeping an open heart is imperative in the process of accessing the blessings and the bounty of an abundant life. Right? The heart. It all is in the heart. The heart. So abundance then is a consciousness that leads to the condition of prosperity. Now, prosperity, it can be money, it can be a nice full savings account, but we also prosper in a lot of other things. Okay, we can prosper in our talents. Okay, we can prosper in our relationships. We can prosper in good health, inner peace, wholeness, and we can prosper with the freedom and the time to enjoy all of that. That is prosperity. Dr. Raymond Charles Barker defined prosperity as that exactly. He said, having the ability to do what you want to do when you want to do that. That is prosperity. So you can see the difference. The abundance is the consciousness, and it is the consciousness where we remember who we are. When we remember, we are the activity of the divine. And so this is where we go back to the first two principles, the unity principles, okay? God is all things, and that means me. God is all things. And so when we are in the consciousness of, and that means me, then that naturally leads us into, well, if God is all things and that means me, that also means the stuff I want to create in my life is also from God. It is all from source energy, all of it. So abundance is the consciousness that allows us to remember that, and then prosperity is the effect of how that works through us and into our life. How it works through us. So basically the secret to life is knowing what we're putting our attention on. Are we putting our attention on our truth, our consciousness, that we are that, we are all that? Or are we putting our focus on the stuff out there? It's like, well, I have to have this, I have to keep my crappy job because I need this money because I want to get this thing, but I need to make more hours before somebody else gets my stuff. And what if somebody gets this before I can get it? Okay, that's because our focus is on the wrong thing. We should be focusing on God is all things, and that means me. And that means all of the experiences I want to create in my life too. All of my good God is all things, and that means me, and that means all my good too. All my good too. So to experience abundance, and you might be thinking this now, experience abundance, we have to lay some groundwork for that, right? Because some of us may be dealing with some old programming that doesn't serve us. Most of us, or some of us, may be focusing on like what's going on out there, rather than creating from in here first. So the first rule that he talks about in the art of abundance is this: be one with life. And that's the first set of unity principles. God is all things, and that means me, and that means all my good, and that means actually everything that exists, because all of it is God, and God is all. All things. Yay! Okay, the premise behind this is, as the awareness of your oneness with the universe deepens, you will begin to see through new eyes. Everywhere you look, you will find the principle of abundance in operation. Everywhere you look. But first we have to get to that point where we remember, okay, God is all things, and that means me, and that means all my good, and that means actually all of life. That means all things. And that is from the book, The Premise. So the source of our good is God, which is all things. The source of our good is more than enough. It is more than enough. It's more than we could ever use. It's more than we could ever dream of, more than we could ever experience. It is more than enough. The source of our good is also the potential for any experience we would like to create. That source is the potential for anything. We have to focus on it. We have to do our work too. But within source, within the all, is the potential for any experience we could want. Any experience. Okay, whether it's in our body or in our relationships, in the way that we are of service, okay, in our community, the potential is there. It's available to us. Through abundance, this is where we feel that sense of purpose, that we're part of something bigger than ourselves. Through that abundance, we feel that aliveness as we go through our day, and we are inspired, we are divinely directed, and we experience the synchronicities in our life. That understanding, right? The synchronicity, that meaningful coincidence that we go, wow, that was kind of weird, but we get something out of it. When we are not in a state of abundance, when we're not in that consciousness, we write all that stuff off. We're like, oh, that was just a weird coincidence, right? Yeah, we just write it off. We're not available to it. He goes on to say, and this is... All right, that was my cough drop. I'm going to pick that up. Yeah. Yeah, watch my head. I would do that. I would do that. He goes on to say the problem. Throughout history, the belief in not enough has dominated the minds and the behavior of the majority of human beings. It is the illusion that you are separate from the source of your abundance that gives birth to a belief in not enough. Not enough. Okay, that's our belief in separation. That's what causes that belief that we are separate from our good. That here we are, right here, but that thing we want is out here, and what if we can't get it in time? What if somebody gets it before we do? What if we can't afford it? Right? What if our job, something happens in our job and we can't get that thing we want out here? That belief in being separate from our good is called duality. Duality, because we're believing in two things. We believe, here I am, and there's all my good way out there where I can't get to it. All so far. Like I could just see it. It's so far though. That's duality. Now, we may not actually recognize when we are in duality. I mean, I know this is true about myself. Because I get up in the morning, and I meditate, and I write in my journal, and I write out my gratitude list, and I will do affirmative prayer, and I'll read Wayne Dyer, or this guy, Merritt Jones, and then I'll look out into the world, and I'll think, man, the government really needs to pull their act together. Or like somebody might be like, well, God, I hate my job, but I got to keep doing it because, I need all the insurance and the benefits. And, the economy is tanking and doing all this weird stuff again, so it's really not safe to quit a job now. And we're in duality when we're doing that. That's duality. Thinking, oh, if I could just win the lottery, then everything would be okay. That's duality. It's duality when we think, man, if my partner could just pull it together, if my family would just stop doing this, that's duality. Because we're pointing the finger at something outside of ourselves, judging that it needs to change to make us happy. That's duality. That is duality. Now, what happens when we are experiencing duality? We will actually start to experience more fear in our life. And fear then feeds the duality. So it's kind of this loop that we get stuck in. Now, when we are in fear, we withdraw from the natural impulse of life to work through us. The natural impulse of love. Okay, love with a capital L. A cosmic force whose sweep is irresistible. And all love wants to do, all that it is urged to do, that its impulse is to work through us, for us, as us. Right? It's our body. We are the embodiment of it, the physical embodiment of it. But we are also receiving divine inspiration and divine guidance so that we'll take a new action and then create new experiences in our life. So it is the whole chain of command through us. It's created this physical body. It is us. We are it in physical form. And then it's inspiring us the next thing to do. And then it's our activity. And then it's our experience. It's our creation. It's the life that we're creating. And the impulse of love is to keep creating through its creations. And when we are in fear, we withdraw from that. We pull back from that. We don't trust the guidance. We don't trust the inspiration. Okay, it's like, oh, no, I couldn't quit my job. No, I couldn't just accept my family member how they are. They need to change. We're too afraid to take that action. Well, I'm going to think about it for 6 or 7 years. Okay? So what happens then? Okay, we've withdrawn, and this is the next thing that we go through. Well, there's not enough. There's not enough out here. And then that turns into, well, I'm not something enough. I'm not smart enough, or I'm not young enough, or I'm not educated enough. I don't have the right degree. I don't have the right car. I don't live in the right neighborhood. I didn't come from the right neighborhood. I'm not whatever it is I think is required of me. I don't have enough certificates. I don't have enough of a following. I don't have enough friends. I don't have the right friends. Okay? And then that turns into, I am not enough. Just, I'm not enough. That's what happens when we get into that beginning fear of duality, which just starts with, there's not enough out there. Okay? I know, I've done it. Man, where are all the good houses? When are we going to get to move? That's duality. And I just went into it without even thinking about it. And then I go into, God, houses are so expensive. What's going on with the housing market? I want it to tank so I can get a good price. Right? No, I don't want it to tank. Not really. I just want it to be good. So in duality, we're feeding fear. It's in duality, where we start becoming terrified of anybody who's different from us. This is where we are, well, us versus them. Okay, it is in duality where the bullying starts. Okay, it's in duality where all that horrid stuff starts. It is why hate crimes are committed. Okay, it's because of duality and this terror. Okay, they're different from me. It is in duality where we stop valuing all of life. We stop valuing all of it. Okay, it is in duality where we let ourselves get caught up in groups because we all hate the same thing. Because we want the feeling of safety. But there's not really safety in there, because you know what? If we share one honest thing about ourselves, we'll be the weird one in that group. Okay, if we share one honest thing. And see, in that group, nobody's going to be vulnerable and share the truth of who they are. So nobody in those kind of groups can actually form a bond. Okay, not a true belonging relationship. To have the experience of belonging in a cooperative community, we have to be in abundance consciousness, because we cannot feel safe to be in belonging if we are in fear. We have to be in the consciousness where we are acknowledging God is all things, and that means me, and that means everybody, and that means all of my good, and that means all of the world. That is what brings us belonging. But the minute we step into duality, we start moving away from that. This is a practice. So you can see where our work is. And you can see why it's a really good idea to dismantle this thought of not enough. Because it starts with that little thing, right? There's not enough. We need to dismantle that idea. There is more than enough. There's more than enough. Okay, so our work is to transcend our fear about that. That's all. It's simple, I guess. It just takes practice. We notice our behaviors. That's what we do first. We notice our behaviors. When we get into, oh man, their belief system makes them an idiot. It's like, whoops, I did it again. Okay, we've just gone into duality. We're starting to slip into duality. Now, we're always going to know we're moving into duality because it's not going to feel good. It won't feel good. We start thinking, okay, there's not enough. How will I get my dream house? How am I supposed to get my dream job? How am I going to meet my perfect partner? How am I going to make enough money to get my stuff? And people are going to get my stuff, and I won't have my stuff. And I'm going to have a big gaping hole in my life because I don't have all that. Okay, that feels crushing. That is consciousness crushing. That feels like a big no, 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 no. That's like if we think the universe is like no, 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 no. Okay, that's what that feels like. If we go back to the unity principles, God is all things, and that means me, and that means all my good, and there is more than enough. There is more than enough. That consciousness feels like yes. Yes, 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 yes. And then we are inspired, and then we receive divine direction, and then we take a new action, and the doors are opening. Okay, doors are opening for us. We're in the right place at the right time. And we kind of just know, like, well, this is what I should do next, I guess. We just know. And we act on it. Okay, that's that yes, yes, yes. That's the yes, 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 yes from the universe. Yes, yes, yes. See, if God is all things, how could we ever be separate from our good? How could we be separate from our good? So the next principle that he talks about in the art of abundance, prosperity of any type begins as the unformed substance of all possibility. With practice, living in alignment with the unseen principle of abundance will become as natural to us as water to a fish. And I like his use of water as a metaphor for abundance. Okay, if you think of the vast ocean, and that's abundance, because gosh, it is abundance, right? And think about a day on the beach, and you can see all the boats out there. And you see a cruise ship, and you see a rowboat, and you see one of those floaty rafts that you blow up, it's plastic, and you see an old-fashioned wooden raft, and you see sailboats and yachts. You see all the different size boats. The ocean doesn't say, well, yeah, I'll float you and you, but you not so much. Just go. The ocean doesn't say that. The ocean floats all the boats. Okay, now the boats also, the size matters, because the boats also represent then our consciousness. Okay, the bigger the boat, the bigger the consciousness, because the bigger the boat, the deeper it's immersed in the water. Okay, like a cruise ship, I had to look this up. A cruise ship is sunk under the water over 30 feet. Okay, what is that? Is it like from that wall to that wall, you think? I don't know. a lot to be under the ocean. We can't even see it. So the cruise ship is more deeply immersed in the water. And when our abundance is really expanded, we are more deeply immersed in abundance. Now the big floaty raft, especially if it's floating out there all by itself with no person on it, it's skimming the water, isn't it? It's not even sinking under the water. It's perfectly on top of the water. Now sometimes we may just be skimming this ocean of abundance that we are living in. Okay? The practice, he says this, as a universal principle, abundance is omnipresent and therefore available to us every moment of the day. Available to us every moment of the day. The challenge is that we are not always present and available to abundance. We might be skimming the top. We might just be skimming it. And so something we can do to help us is to practice mindfulness. And mindfulness, all mindfulness is remembering to remember. Remembering to remember the first principle right there. God is all things. The second principle, and that means me. The third principle, and all my stuff too. All the stuff that I want, all the good. Every person, everywhere. God is all things. I was practicing this yesterday. Everywhere I went, I did this at Sprouts. I was breathing, and I imagined I was breathing from my heart. And when you do that, you take a deep breath. Just try it now. Put your hand on your heart and take a deep breath. You feel something different. There's something different that changes in us. And I was practicing that yesterday when I was stressing out about something. And it makes a difference. It brings us present. So, because remember, our heart is intuitive. And it's our heart that is seeking the direct experience with life. The heart knows only the spontaneous, the expansive joy, the wholeness, and all that, right? The heart knows what's happening right now. All the freedom, all the good, all the love. Our heart wants that right here and now. So we want to be present to that. The no, no, no from the universe, that limits us. The yes, 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 that lights us up. Yes, 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 yes is when we're present in our heart. So I'm gonna do a little experiment with you. And I used to do this with my dog just because it shocked me that it was like so real. Okay, you all had dogs, right? And what happens when you say no to your dog? No, no. The dog goes like this. Right? Even if you say, no, your treat's over there, not over there. No, that chicken's right there, go eat it. But they hear the word no, and they're like, okay, so I want you to say no with me. Together, we're going to say it a bunch of times. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Okay, no is when we are in duality. Okay, that big no. Now we're gonna balance that out. Okay, yes. Say it together. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, 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 yes. Okay? That feels pretty good, right? So the no feels like being in the wrong place at the right time. The no feels like, well, there goes all my stuff, and I'm just going to be alone for the rest of my life in the rain. Okay? Yes feels like, yes, I'm in the moment. I'm in the joy. I am one with all the good. I am one with all that. I am divinely inspired. Well, I do get good ideas. I just know what to do right now. I accept the good. I accept the joy. I accept the blessing. That's the yes, 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 yes. And that also helps us in the practice of mindfulness. Okay? If we're trying to breathe from our heart and we're like, I'm too crabby, I can't do it right now. Try saying yes. Like I've gone as long as 10 minutes saying yes to see if it really worked. And I was crabby, and I was driving. And I remember just thinking, okay, I'll be home in about 10 minutes, let's see what happens. And I did it. Yes. Okay, I'm going to name 4 billionaires who opened to the yes. Open to the good, open to the joy, open to their heart, okay? And we're almost done. J.K. Rowling, you've all heard of her. She wrote all the Harry Potter books and is a billionaire now. She's so rich. But she was told at the beginning, no, that's silly, don't write a book. You need to just go get a regular job because you're in poverty. So she didn't listen. Okay, this lady, if you've heard of her, I don't know what you have on under that skirt of yours. Her name is Sarah Blakely, and her mission is to empower and elevate women. She is the founder of Spanx, and she's a billionaire. Nicholas Woodman, he failed at his business. He tanked it. He tanked everything he tried. So he decided, I'm going to go surf the world. So he did. He got into his heart, got into the joy, and then he got this brilliant idea. He invented the GoPro camera, which is a tiny little video camera. You can clip it on stuff and wear it around. And you see this video all over YouTube, right? He's a billionaire. Howard Schultz. You probably figured this guy out. He grew up in poverty, and he went to work for a little coffee shop in Seattle. But then he took a trip to Milan, Italy. And he became impassioned because he saw in Milan, Italy, they were creating an experience around coffee drinking, and it was an experience of community. It was an experience of belonging. So he came back to America. He told his bosses at Starbucks, we have got to do this thing. It is amazing because you're building community. We're creating connections. It's not just coffee. It is connections. It is relationships. The owners of Starbucks were like, that's crazy. So he ended up buying Starbucks, and now you know he's a billionaire. The payoff is freedom. That's what we get. The payoff of being able to move in our abundance freely is freedom. To mindfully actualize the principle of abundance, it opens the floodgates of prosperity. It is the belief in our oneness with more than enough that sets us free. Believe in more than enough. Okay, so abundance, it's the unseen essence. Okay, it is God in its creative form. Okay, the substance of all things. Prosperity is the expression of that essence. It's not something that randomly happens. It is the unseen being formed into something. Okay, that's prosperity. The fear of not enough is duality. Okay, we're like, here I am, and there's my good, and my life's falling apart, and I hate my life. The secret of life, then, is to be one with all of life, which is remembering God is all things, and that means me, and that means all my good, and that means all people everywhere. Okay, only our source is the only source of our abundance. Right? And it expresses through us as ideas, as inspirations, as synchronicity, as a knowing, as being in the right place at the right time, as receiving divine direction. So we know the next thing to do. So we're creating prosperity from that abundance that is flowing through us. So we practice mindfulness, remembering to remember who we really are. And that's how we create heaven on earth. That's how we do it. So until next time, remember, you are the activity of spirit in a body. You are the heart and hands of spirit in this world. You are a soul designed to do all of this stuff. You are not designed to be in fear and duality. That's why it feels terrible. It's not part of your divine blueprint. You were designed to be in divine abundance, and that's why it feels so good. In everything you do, you are blessed, and so it is. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, before our offering, come on up, we have the offering of a song for you. It's one of my